Joe, another team that we need to talk about is the Michigan Wolverines here. Listen, I am enamored by Michigan and what Sherrone Moore has done on and off the field. Not talking about the allegation stuff. We're not going back to that. But on and off the field, I'm enamored by what they did to finish the season. And not only that, even with the big tackle today, I mean, they finished strong in recruiting.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to respond. I kind of feel like Michigan is a little bit back on track when it comes to the football actual side of things.
We heavily hyped up this Michigan recruiting class on the early signing period because of them going and getting Bryce Underwood, them also signing guys like Andrew Babalola, Shamari Earls, Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. There were a lot of big-name guys, 5 stars that they were able to attract and to bring in this year. And it all, of course, starts with Underwood. But them finishing things off by getting one of the highest-ranked tackles, a 4-star in Ty Haywood, is a really strong way for Sherrone Moore to finish this thing. Especially, this is the craziest part about all this. Last offseason, right around this time, and the whole entire offseason, going into the 2024 year, we were talking about, and every other show was talking about, what the hell is Sherrone Moore doing? This recruiting class that he has for 2025 is awful. He doesn't have anybody. There's no commitment. There's no guys. He hasn't been recruiting at all. They were so focused on winning a national championship that they didn't bother to recruit. They didn't have a class. They literally did not have a recruiting class. So for them to finish as high as they did and as strong as they did, to go as far in the final, before the final whistle blew, to get one more guy, the highest ranked uncommitted kid in Ty Haywood, I think really sums up these efforts and these improvements for not only Sherrone Moore, but the NIL efforts that are going towards this.
Well, look, and it's not like that he didn't have all the big boys recruiting him either, right? Here's the thing with Michigan that I think is a little bit different. There's 2 things that are happening at the same time. I think that once they won a national title and word came out clearly, hey, man, if we want to stop being like this, we need to go get a quarterback, and there's one in our state. Joe, Larry Ellison did what he had to do. Let's call it what it is. Arguably, I think, was he the top 5 richest man in the world?
Yeah,
wife is a Michigan alum. You going to tell me that this, like, it's only Bryce Underwood that this is happening for? I call bullshit. I vastly call bullshit, because once you go to that well once, you're going to keep going to that well. And let me just tell you this, it's not going to stop here. Now that they've got a taste of it, and God forbid Bryce Underwood comes into Michigan and starts balling, chalk calling, 20-inch blades on the Impala getting laid tonight like it's a mid-2000s rap song, okay? I'm telling you, you see it, I see it, everybody sees it. When teams start going out there and spending money and they go in and they start dominating in recruiting, they don't stop now. So what's interesting with me about Michigan, I think you brought in a great class, and I'm not saying that you didn't. You got arguably the freakiest kid and all of the recruits, and that being Bryce Underwood. You went out and got other guys. You talked about Ty Haywood today being the top uncommitted guy. He's not the only one. You talked about Babalola, but Nate Marshall, the edge guy. I mean, that he screams Michigan to me. He screams Michigan into me. So I think that since Michigan has gotten over the hump, okay, I feel a different sense about how they go about things. You know, in the early Harbaugh days, I felt as if that it was like, yeah, Michigan's a big brand. They ain't ever getting no damn playoff. You knew the vibe around Michigan. Man, they got in that Final Four and some shit started happening that was a little bit different around there. Take out all the Connor Stallions BS for just a moment. Let's take it out and look at them and what they're going to be as a program. Okay, they took a step back after a national championship run and a bunch of coaching staff changes. Could say the same exact thing about Alabama, who they played in a bowl game. So there are 2 different comparisons that you can make here that might fit a line a little bit. Those 2 teams played in the playoff too. So the only thing that I could think about today when I'm thinking about Michigan, it's not that we haven't seen this before. We see it every year. We see it when generational guys, and I call Harbaugh generational in this sense for them, because it's not often that they win a natty. The way they finish on the field, to me, I see alignment. And I know coaches like to use that word, but I see alignment. But more than alignment, I see buy-in. And if there's a title for this, if there's a title for what I see at Michigan right now from a football perspective, Joe, everybody's bought in. 1-800-Larry Ellison. That is the number one contact on Sherrone Moore's, maybe his wife, I don't know. But you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Having that financial boost is obviously important. And I think it's kind of funny to consider, though, that like there's other possible billionaires that are going to be contributing money to some of these programs. Like Indiana, by the way, quietly has been discussed about how they're getting a lot of NIL contributions. So it's not getting as much pub as it probably should, but they have resources to eventually being talked about more and more in these coming years.
Michigan is proving to the country, and there are a couple other teams that are doing this too, but they are proving to the country this too. They're a part in this conversation. Ole Miss did it last year, but they did it in a different way. They can't recruit from a high school perspective. Well, I guess they can if they wanted to spend the money, but they're not. It's different. And I promise you, look around the country, that teams that have been surprising. Joe, who are they? Who are they? And what are they all doing? I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. The toothpaste is out of the tube on how things are being done here.
Outside of the NIL aspect of this, though, the thing why I was super hyped up about Sherrone Moore taking this job and why I was one of the earliest pushers for him to take over for Harbaugh.
Brian Kelly didn't go to Michigan?
Okay. That was never anything that I brought up. And I know that was a random rumor that had been thrown out there by some people. But as soon as Harbaugh left and before he even left, I was pushing for Sherrone Moore. And I just felt like that there was naturally going to be that buy-in from the team. And despite the season being tumultuous and inconsistent with the results on the field, I never really felt worried. It didn't scream to me, hey, this team is going to be a mess and Sherrone Moore is going to be gone in a couple of years. It just didn't feel like that. It just felt like
started off rocky.
It started off rocky. It felt like a team that had talent that was also extremely devoid of key contributors at important positions, especially a quarterback, that was holding him back. That Sherrone Moore was eventually going to figure this thing out. The way that they finished in recruiting, the way that they finished on the field is the biggest signal to me that, hey, Sherrone Moore is going to eventually get this team in the playoff. He's going to get them back on a recurring basis to the playoff because of that buy-in from the roster and the way that they fought during the bowl game. Last bit, too, is just knowing the way that they're recruiting, emphasizing. I always get like super locked in on if you are able to structure your recruiting classes around the line of scrimmage, that's how I know you're going to have a good team, because you're bringing in 1 to 2 top tackles, 1 to 2 defensive linemen that are the top in the class. That is how you eventually build a national championship caliber team. And that's what they did originally.
And look, there was something that came out today about Kirby Smart. Speaking of this, and I'll tie it back to Michigan here. This was a quote from a coach inside of the SEC. Georgia got some steals. Kirby really leaned into some old school stuff and getting guys to come at a discount, saying that you're going to make the money because I'm going to get you in the top 10. I mean, and I'm assuming he means picks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, man, it's all about getting dudes. And I think that Michigan got some clearly. Interesting to see what they do in some positions, though. I mean, every one of these classes have their issues, but it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to roll here.